Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is the Limitless Living Podcast. Chuck Anderson here, your host, and this is the show where we tell stories of personal transformation and overcoming limitations with the goal of inspiring you to overcome your limitations to live a happier and more fulfilling life as soon as humanly possible. And whatever your challenge is, whatever your struggle is, there's always a solution. And I like to tell these stories because there's so many lessons in the transformational journeys and healing journeys of others. And today I have Shairose Gulamani here with me today. And she's got an amazing and inspiring story as well, which we're going to dive into. But first, Shairose, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Chuck. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here as well. And we were talking before we even started recording, and I think our fans, our listeners, are in for a treat today. So, let's dive in and let's have you share your story with everyone.
Thank you so much. Well, just a little intro about myself. I'm a resilience and leadership strategist, and I work with executives, leaders, high performers in helping them manage their pressure so it becomes their leadership power. And sometimes that pressure looks very different in many different ways. It can look like self-doubt. It can look like imposter syndrome, and it creates this thing within your body and your mind that says you're just not good enough. You can't do this. And I was faced with a situation like that about 2 years ago. I was in a high stakes meeting for a global festival that was going to be happening in Dubai. And I realized in real time the true scope of the role that I was given, that I had just undertaken, and it was Director of Global Talent. And I learned in that meeting that it involved recruiting across 52 countries, working with world-class athletes and artists, and aligning with senior leaders and delivering for an audience that was potentially going to be there of 30,000 at the festival. And I have to tell you, my body reacted before my confidence could catch up. I had a dry mouth. I had my heart was beating really fast, and though I felt a sense of adrenaline, like wow, um, I'm going to be doing this. And when all the eyes turned on me, I had this real big instinct to just say pass, but I didn't. And in that moment, I made a really conscious decision to step forward without a fully formed plan. I wasn't sure how I was going to recruit this talent from 52 countries and have them at the festival. But I trusted that I could I trusted that I could create clarity to learn how to do this in small increments through action. And what that experience cemented for me, and that's what I shared with you, Chuck, earlier, is that it was the best decision I made. And I could have easily lost that opportunity if I had started to pay attention to the pressure I was feeling in that very moment. If I had not taken the pause to say, what do I really want? And what I really wanted was to do this role. I wasn't sure how, but I really wanted to do this role. And I didn't want to let people down. So what that also involved is for me to make that commitment to myself, to my heart, and to my brain that this was going to be a lot of work. There was no ways about it, but that I knew something that was going to be there for sure. And what it proved to me was that pressure doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It actually forces a decision. And that's not always a bad thing. As I said, this was one of the biggest and best experiences of my life. And the power comes from choosing to make that decision at scale before you even feel like you're fully prepared. and I wasn't prepared, but I did it. I was successful at what I did, and I made an impact.
I love that story, so many parts of it. I love what what you just said recently, which was pressure doesn't wait for you to be ready. Or was that is that
Yeah,
exactly what you said? Yeah,
exactly,
or
yeah,
some form of that.
for you
Um,
to feel ready. Yes.
yeah, for you to feel ready. And man, I've had moments like that, and I know many, many other people who have had moments like that. And so I love that. And I always like to, in those moments, because there's a crossroads, right? Like you could have said no, but you didn't say no, you said yes. How close were you to saying no? And what was the thought process that you kind of went through as you were making that decision to follow through?
Yeah, it was, I think, when I was feeling like, I don't know if I can do this, like real self-doubt, right? I actually took a moment in my head, and I bet you while we were in this meeting, it might have even been like seconds before when they asked me, what I was gonna contribute and what I was gonna do. It probably was a long pause, or at least in my head, it felt like it was a long pause. But that pause that I took in that very moment, I said, "Is that pressure talking to me, or is that the truth?" And that small shift created space for me, because from there, I knew that I don't have to try and control everything, and that if I just focus on what actually matters, it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. And so afterwards, I really focused on what are the facts of this role? What is it that I need to do? What's in my control? And then what decisions do I need to move this forward? And that shift from reaction to leadership is the work I do now.
Mm.
And and that experience really solidified the work that I do now, because it really is using your resilience to transform pressure into power.
Is there some part of this journey and the takeaways from this experience that have sort of shaped the way you work with clients now, or even inspired you to do it in a new way? Because were you already coaching before this experience?
Uh,
And I think we are talking a little bit about this beforehand, but I'm really interested in how this experience and now looking back on it and go, man, I really glad I did that. And how does that shape the way you work with people now?
yeah. I was coaching prior to this. I, in fact, took a break from what I'm doing now during those 18 months of doing this project. And when I came back to it, I had a whole different perspective. I honestly felt limitless.
Mm,
Like, I just felt anything was possible, and I felt the importance of taking my knowledge, my lived experiences, and sending that message and amplifying it to a much bigger stage. And that's where my aspiration to speak on stages, to impact wider audiences, and to really live and um, I think move forward, um, pay forward maybe is a better word, what I have learned and lived to others who can benefit from this, from the lessons of life that I have, lived with and paid the price for, and come back stronger than ever. Because pressure itself is not really the problem. It's when it's unregulated that it becomes something that can impact one's health or relationship or performance or opportunities. It closes your doors because you don't allow yourself to take the time to pause and think, is this really pressure or is this the truth?
What are you hearing from people that are coming to you for help? Like, and so the clients that you're working with, and if you think about the, the beginning of that relationship and the beginning of that journey with them, what are you hearing from them? What is their struggle? What is their challenge? What are they saying? Gosh, I really need your help with this. Like, what are you hearing from them?
Yeah. A lot of the clients that I work with, they're so capable. And on the outside, they are just doing fine. They're the image of success. They are polished. They are carrying the weight. They are the ones people go to. They carry the responsibility. They do their job well. They are superstars. But on the inside, a lot of them can never turn themselves off. There is this weight that constantly is eating at them that they don't know how much longer they can take. And some of them come to me and say, I don't know how to turn off. I can't sleep well at night. I am always feeling tense. I'm always on and I'm exhausted. And just simple things like that tells me that they are working with very unregulated pressure. And when you hold it and it continues to stay unregulated, it then starts to define you and everything becomes harder. Everything becomes less clear. Everything becomes not enjoyable anymore. Their jobs, what they're doing, how they're doing it, who they're doing it with, everything just feels this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I wanted my life to be like. And so that's where I can hopefully help and get them to regulate their pressure so that they understand how to hold it, how to direct it, and how to use it so it serves them. And when that happens, when that magical moment happens where they can then sustain themselves and know exactly what they're doing, that's when pressure becomes their power.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm thinking back to it was quite a long time ago now, but I still tell the story of when I was a marketing director at a big company. And what I often tell people is that it was an extremely lonely uh, existence because you can't share it with you can't share your issues with the CEO or your fellow senior managers. You can't talk to your team, so there's no peer support. You can't talk to your team. You certainly can't tell the board. And so like who do you talk to, right? Like and it was an extremely lonely existence of my God, I'm in this role. I'm doing this thing. I've got this opportunity. It's big, big, big. And I remember feeling like the opportunity was bigger than me, right?
Mhm.
And what am I gonna do? It sounds a lot like some of the things you said in your story,
Yeah,
like, "What
for
the hell am I
sure.
gonna do? I have no idea what I'm doing." But I couldn't share that with anyone, right?
Mhm.
Is that kinda like what you're hearing from people and the people that you're working with?
Yeah, but what they're missing out on, a golden opportunity, is to listen to their inner voice, right? When they start having those inner dialogues, when they prioritize themselves, right? It changes the whole game. They're in the driver's seat then because um when because that weight of pressure that they feel, the one that most of us are navigating now, isn't just pressure. If you look at it the right way, it's actually potential because we do need a certain amount of pressure to motivate us, to kickstart our drive, to achieve our biggest dreams, right? It's when that pressure of holding that weight is constant and we do nothing to maintain ourselves. We, uh, it's neglected maintenance over time that pressure could crush some leaders. It could crush um, parts of us in our like I said before, in our health, right? That's when our body just says, "I can't do this anymore, and you're not listening to me, and I'm sorry, but there's gonna be a consequence to that." And quite often, I find that's when people start listening to their bodies. They start listening and prioritizing themselves and doing self care and being more compassionate to themselves. Unfortunately, sometimes the price is so high that a lot of damage has been done. And my goal is to meet you before that happens. My goal is to work with you so that we don't get to that spot, that you understand what pressure is, what it looks like, how it comes to you, and all of that so that you recognize and you know exactly what to do.
I love that. And it reminds me of how grateful I am for my experience. And it never got to that point, but I had many peers who, it went on so long that, things kind of imploded on them. They're fine now, but, it was preventable. And that's what I'm hearing from you is that if we recognize it early enough,
Mhm.
and I think, you don't have to go it alone. And I would recommend anyone listening in right now that they should connect with you and, have the conversation. And so to that end, I'd love to have you share how do people connect with you and do you have any resources on your website that you recommend is their next step?
Sure. And Chuck, I'd love to offer your listeners a limitless resilience circle, which is inviting groups of individuals to come and be in community and talk about these very real pressures that we all experience. And for me to provide some practical strategies on how we can deal with them, how to recognize them, before they become a problematic. What tools can we use immediately so that you can move from a pressure-filled life to a powerful life, and and know that what you're experiencing, you're not alone. Right? This is not something that you have to do alone, and that there is strength in community, there's strength in numbers, and there's strength in giving yourself this gift of being more mindful, to being more intentional about what you do, how you do it, and how you're going to move forward.
Very powerful. Well, if you'd like to uh, get that gift, and thank you, that's very generous. I'm going to put a link right beneath this video so you can go and get that free gift and connect with Shairose. And also, if you're listening to this on a audio podcast, just open up your phone and the links are all right there as well. Thank you so much for telling your story and for your advice and for your generous gift. I really appreciate that. And our goal was to inspire people to. I would, I want you to say yes to opportunities. I know in those moments it can be scary, and we are at that crossroads, and it seems safe and comfortable to say no, but there's so much power in saying yes and kind of
Uh,
figuring it out as you go, and you don't have to go it alone, like I did, and it was. A very lonely existence, and it doesn't have to be that way. So if I had it to do it over again in that moment, I would have got a coach. And now, after 28 years of coaching, I can say, the true value of coaching for sure. So thank you so much, Shiros, for everything that you shared. And I want to ask you if you have any final piece of advice or words of wisdom to leave our audience here with today as we sign off.
yeah, just when you feel pressure, just know it's not something you did. It's nothing that's on you. It's You're not to blame. What's important is for you to realize it and do what it takes to make that pressure work for you, and not brace against it.
I love that. Make the pressure work for you. That's a great concept. I love that. Thank you. Those are great words to end this episode by. And to our audience, thank you as well. If you're still listening to me, that means this topic resonated with you. And I highly encourage you to Again, click the links beneath this video and go get that very generous gift that Shairose gave to our audience and make that your next step. And maybe identify some other next step that you have, something you've been putting off, something you've been saying no to, something you've been tolerating, whatever it is. Take that step forward and let the rest unveil itself as you move forward. And so there's no challenge too big to be overcome. There's no problem too big to be solved. And, I hope that you keep moving forward and write your story and your journey of living a limitless life and being happy and fulfilled in that life. And when you do, come back and share your story and inspire others, as the way some of my guests has today, and certainly the way Shairose has in this episode today. So thank you, Shairose. Thank you to our audience. This has been the Limitless Living Show with Chuck Anderson, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you.